This week's episode of Chivalry of a Failed Knight shows just how benevolent Iki is, because even after Ayase betrays him on the roof by throwing herself off, and I presume she would most likely have died if Iki hadn't used his Itosora, which was her plan basically. She wanted him to use his Itosora so he couldn't use it in the match, which was pretty despicable of her, because that is kind of fighting a should say a opponent that is like weaker than he would have been if it wasn't because of this. So that's pretty despicable of Ayase. And it doesn't even stop there, because she also rigs the arena by putting some. I mean, not entirely sure what her sword Hisumu is doing, but from what I can see, it basically creates pocket dimensions, which, when activated by the sound of her sword, basically causes whirlwind that hits the person and opens up wounds. So let's say, example, you had a little wound here, you basically just a little scratch. If if this ability hit you, the finger would basically be like torn up here. So yeah, and Iki, he even has his, I think his left hand. It's basically like entirely here, basically cut up. So he can't use that. And the only reason she isn't getting disqualified is because Iki, before the match, asked Yuri Sensei to overlook it. He knew that she would most likely cheat. She would most likely cheat to with that arena, but he wanted her to overlook it because he still believed in Ayase. However, Ayase has a reason, because we found out that Ayase's father, he lost in a match to Kurado, the Sword Eater, 2 years ago, and he has been in a coma since. And because of the agreement, she lost the dojo and her home. So not only did she kind of lose her father because of that coma, she also lost her home. And the Sword Eater, he doesn't even think she is worthy of fighting him. So that is pretty much very bad for her. So she wanted to basically win this, the matches, so she could get to the top and fight him in the 7 Star Festival or tournament. Yeah, 7 Star tournament. And she was willing to cheat. So that was pretty despicable of her. And she uses everything she has. I even think she was willing to kill Iki. However, thanks to two abilities he shows in this match, he wins. One of them is which blocks his what's it called, Ayase's attack, which is called irregular guard, which basically he uses the hilt of the sword to block the attack, which is pretty irregular. You usually use the blade, and also he he blocks, of course, those let's say pocket dimensions, and I'm not entirely sure that is what they are. In fact, actually thinks they're like wind stuff with his perfect vision, but we know about that. The last ability, which, as I understand, is basically him changing from real form to a phantom form and then back again, is called Shinkuro. So yeah, he used a lot of ability to defeat her, and he defeats her, but he doesn't even cut her. I actually don't think he hits her as a basically with the sword. He wins by having her getting exhausted, and he tells her that if she wanted to be his friend, that the reason why he didn't cut her was that he wanted to believe that she is his friend, because yeah, man, it's so hard how he explained it. But basically, he wanted to believe in that she was still his friend, and that she didn't, shall we say, was believing that it was right to cheat, which is shown that she doesn't, because her sword vanishes, and that if she is willing to take his hand, he will help her get back what she has lost. So Iki, he is pretty benevolent, and Ayase, she takes his hand at the end. So Iki, he's benevolent, really benevolent, because I think minority of people would have just said, okay, he's cheating, so I will just have Yuri Sensei declare that it's cheating and show why. So I automatically win the match and she loses. And if she was to lose this way, that would of course mean that she also loses her honor because she is getting known as a cheater. So every victory she had would have to be looked at to see, okay, did she actually win this legitimate, or did she cheat, like rig the arena? And that would cause issues. So you could never, so she could maybe never take a match and say, okay. And that's why Iki actually asked Yuri Sensei not to basically reveal that she cheated because of that. So he's pretty benevolent at thinking forward. And yes, she joins him at the end. However, her ideal, let's say like this, before this, is pretty evil because, as she says, ideals without without actions is meaningless. Or in other words, if you can't visualize or make your ideas reality, it's pointless. Of course, that's a good thing, but still, the way she basically does it is that she is willing to step over a lot of people in order to achieve her goals, even if those people are left broken. So yes, he was pretty despicable. And I must say, so far, I really must say, I thought she was despicable at the beginning and until the end. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how she reacts in the next episode. Because if she's just like all girly, I must say that's a little bit detraction from this because she needs to, show that she, what's it called, actually regrets her actions in this episode. I really don't want it to just be the next episode. They are all fine and all of the girls are okay. I want her to basically show that she knows that she did wrong or that did Iki wrong, and that she knows that she is not in popular with his with Iki, with Stella, and with Suzuki. So yeah, next week's episode have something to deliver to see if it's good or if I have to point this a little bit like not that good. But until next time, guys, see you and have a good day, good night, wherever you are. Cheers.